Hello, this is a tutorial, a quick one, about Genera, which is an add-on meant for Google Sheet that basically does two things. The first thing is that it produces PDFs based on the data coming from a spreadsheet. So given the spreadsheet and given a custom template, this is the final result that I would like to achieve. So a row being taken the data from one particular row and putting it in the columns and in the cells they specify, right? As you can see, this can be anything, it's customizable and you can make your own. The second thing that it does is that it also sends email with these PDFs attached. This email address is specified in here. And I should also mention that all these things can also be automated, but I will explain a little bit more about it later. Now I want to go through the main juicy stuff, which is the menu here, of course. And we start by seeing the main one, which is the settings. So this is the add-on that you're going to be seeing as soon as you launch it. There are some placeholders in here. And we're going to start from the top and go to the bottom and explain everything. So the first thing you see is the room to process. And I already mentioned that, sorry, you process one row at a time. And so you specify the row here. Perfect. Then there is the data sheet. This data sheet is the sheet in the worksheet where the data lies. You can choose among the sheets that you have. In my case, modulo is fine, is where the data is. The template for me is in PDF, the sheet PDF, perfect. Now, the column of the name, and this is peculiar because the column basically specifies the column where you can find the name for the PDF, right? Usually these names want to be custom, so you want to make sure that the name reflects the person or the user or the data that was ingested, right? Now, in order to do so, I want to mention a couple of things because this process can be a bit trickier than it seems. You cannot place formulas directly in a column in order to make some concatenation of values or something like that, because when there's a form and a new entry comes in, a new submission comes in, what happens is that there is a new row at the top, a new empty row that gets filled with the new data. And if you use formulas like that per cell, the new cell will be empty. So the solution is to use one of these two formulas. You can make your own, of course, but I provide you with a couple. And these use both use the array formula method, in which you can basically fill one cell with this formula and use it for a bunch of cells, an array. Yeah, this one is a bit more cumbersome because it's a bit cleaner. You see, like it doesn't produce things unless there are data and the name of the column is the proper one. But the column, this formula is much simpler and does the job perfectly. So suppose that you want to, for example, instead of being B, B, C, C, you would like it to be C, C, B, B. You just invert the two. Easy peasy. Perfect. Now, let's go forward. This is the name of the PDF. Now let's go for the PDF template. If you look at here, this is the final result, but this is what we have, an empty one. And there is a last row and last call to be specified in here. So basically I want to specify the boundaries. If I want these boundaries, for example, these ones, I should specify 13 and E. So 13 and E. Perfect. Let's forget for a second about the PDF sent via email. We're gonna go through that in a second, but let's jump right to this portion here, which is the juiciest possibly portion of the add-on. We said that basically we want to connect columns, maybe the name, for example, nome in this case in Italian, and a cell in the PDF. So in this case, I would like column B, which is the name, to go in cell B6. This is a merged cell. And so what I do is column B with B6. I input it here. I add the binding, so the relation between cell and column, and I have it here. I can do the same for B7 with the surname, so it's B7C, B7C, and then the D1 goes to the B9. Perfect. So 3 bindings in total. And you can see them from here. You can delete them singularly. Perfect. Now that you have it, you just have to specify a row that is meaningful. In this case, it's, I don't know, I take the second one and I generate the PDF. Wait a couple of seconds, and there it is. I used as a column for the PDF name A, so of course it used this one, which is not ideal. What I wanted was this as E, and so I generate it again. And there it is, perfect. And I can download it with the field value, perfect. Now let's jump to the emailing option. Now for sending the email, first of all, we have to specify the column where the addresses lie. In this case, it's the D column. And I should mention that if you want to have multiple addresses as recipients, you can just put them here in separated by commas, basically. So address at gmail.com, perfect. This would be sent to 2 addresses, both of them. Great. Now, given this, we also can specify the sender name. So the name that will be appearing as the sender name in the email that the user receives, the subject and the body. Easy peasy. Now that I've specified this option, whenever I press generate, not only is it going to generate the PDF, but it's also going to send the email with the attachment. So let's try it. Row number 2. I generate the PDF, wait a couple of seconds, and as you can see, the PDF has been generated and it's also been sent to this particular address, which makes sense, corresponds to the row 2. Now, I can, of course, download it from here as before, exactly the same way. But if I go to my inbox here and I reload, there it is. Here is the email and here is the attachment. Great. Now, let's go back because I want to mention a couple of other things, which are basically these elements of the menu. Like, what do they do? Install trigger is for installing the automation that basically triggers Genera whenever a new submission from the form comes in, right? So it's gonna process automatically based on the setup that you specified in the settings menu. Great. You can delete these triggers whenever you want so that the automation stops, basically. And these other options are printing all the settings. This is mainly for storing these options, and yes, and possibly sharing them, but they are not meant for importing right now, maybe as a future development for this app. Perfect. And the last one is delete all settings. So suppose that you have, for example, a bunch of bindings and you don't want to go through deleting them one by one. You can just delete all the settings and you're gonna basically go to the factory preset. So let's try it now. I say yes. And now what happens? I should restart Genera. And this is the blank plate that we had at the beginning. So nothing and just some placeholders. I really hope you find this tool useful and this brief tutorial helpful. Thank you very much. And if you have any question or any suggestion, please make sure to drop me an email. You can find the information on my website. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy.